Hello everyone, this is Mr. Brain Junkie here, and today we'll be talking about a science fiction fantasy film called Full Metal Alchemist. Be ready for some spoilers ahead. Somewhere far away from the city, a mother is putting up the blankets for her children. An assortment of items are combined together in the transmutation circle by two brothers, and they rush to their mother, proudly displaying their achievements. The mother hugs them warmly to show them her love, but when the boys leave to play, she drops to the floor suddenly and dies as a result of an unknown sickness. Not willing to lose their mother forever, the brothers plan to transmute the woman into existence by combining every single element that makes up the human body. They put the materials in the center of the alchemy circle and begins performing the ritual. A large amount of energy begins gathering inside the house, and the brothers realize that something is very wrong. The house is ripped open by the conjuring powers, and the two are lifted into the air one by one as they scream hopelessly for each other's name. Many years later, in the city of Rio, the older brother Edward is chasing after a priest with a mysterious red stone. The magical rock allows him to use alchemy without drawing any transmutation circles, and Edward is forced to run away from the rising stone pillars. The man then summons multiple monsters using the stones around him and orders them to attack, but the young alchemist conjures a spear and proceeds to destroy the creatures one by one. Another person in full armor rushes in and kills the creatures using his bare hands, as he throws the monsters around and breaks them into pieces. However, the man's helmet gets knocked to the floor and reveals that the armor is empty inside. Edward also shows that he has prosthetic limbs after destroying the monsters, and is recognized as the famous soldier known as the Full Metal Alchemist. The two chase the man into the population center, and the main character punches the man with his prosthetic arm, knocking the stone away from the fingers. The military led by Colonel Mustang arrives and apprehends both of them in order to control the situation immediately. Edward shouts for the colonel to give him the rock, which is called the Philosopher's Stone, but Mustang lights the object on fire as it melts away, showing that it's no more than a fake. Edward becomes disheartened as he's been looking for the stone for a long time, but the suit of armor tries to comfort him and reveals that he's actually the younger brother named Alphonse. The priest takes the opportunity to run away from the soldiers as the colonel takes Edward back to the headquarters, leaving Alphonse behind to clean up the mess. What the people don't realize is that they're being watched by three mysterious figures who clearly show great interest in the fight that just occurred. Back at the military headquarters, Colonel Mustang is trying to convince Edward that the real Philosopher's Stone doesn't exist, but the young man refuses to accept this as the object he encountered displayed immense powers. Mustang argues by saying that the stone was only an amplifier, not something that can achieve human transmutation, which is what Edward desires to do as he desperately wants to regain his brother's body and his missing limbs. Their arguments are interrupted by Captain Hugh as he accompanies General Hakuro to the room. The senior officer greets the young man warmly as he's heard numerous things about the Full Metal Alchemist and desires to meet with Alphonse, who's a living suit of armor. After the meeting, Captain Hugh accompanies Edward as he advises him to listen to the colonel. But he also reveals that he's sent here from the Central Command so that he may conduct an inspection, as there are suspicious things happening in this military base. Their conversation is interrupted by Edward's childhood friend Winry, who rushes over to examine his prosthetic arm and complains about its damage and how she has to fix it again. On the other side, the priest from before is meeting with the three mysterious people and reveals that they're in fact working together. He blames his failure on the stone that he received, which is clearly a fake, but the woman whose name is Lust ridicules him for believing that there's actually a real Philosopher's Stone. Her accomplice, Envy, walks towards the priest and transforms into him, while the woman extends her claws and kills the old man immediately. The other large man, who they call Gluttony, opens his mouth and devours the dead body in one shot. At night, Edward begins to dream about his earlier life when he first attempted to transmute his mother through alchemy. He was brought into a dimension in front of the Gate of Truth, where all knowledge in the universe lies within. Edward also meets another entity who claims to be God, and opens the gate for the young man, where numerous hands pull him inside the doorway. The man begins seeing the truth of the universe, and eventually his mother from far away, as he desperately tries to reach out for her. Suddenly, he's brought back to the White Room, but now he has obtained vast amounts of knowledge about alchemy, including the process of human transmutation. However, Edward begins noticing one of his legs disappearing as he transfers onto the mysterious deity who tells him that this is part of the equivalent exchange. He wakes up in the living room missing one leg and notices that his brother Alphonse was taken as well. He looks over at the alchemy circle and is shocked to see the monstrosity that he created, which resembles nothing close to his mother. Edward knocks over the suit of armor in the living room and demands to have his brother back as he begins to transmute once more. The deity calls the man a fool for coming back here as he slowly takes possession of his arm as well. The main character wakes up sweating profusely as his brother watches over him, revealing that he's been having the same dream for a long time. The next day, Colonel Mustang takes the brothers to meet an alchemist named Tucker at the order of the general, as the man believes that this will help Edward in his quest of searching for the Philosopher's Stone. They arrive at the mansion and meet the scientist along with the daughter Nina and their dog Alexander. Apparently, the alchemist is very stressed right now because of the upcoming examination from the military, which will determine his usefulness to the organization. He shows Edward the chimeras that he created by fusing different animals into one creature. Tucker explains that he was able to make a talking chimera 2 years ago, which gave him the position as a state alchemist, but the creature only spoke 3 words before eventually dying. Through their conversation, Ed reveals that he sacrificed his arm in order to bind his brother's soul into the armor, but because of that, Alphonse lost his memories about what happened during the human transmutation, where he also looked into the Gate of Truth. Tucker offers to help the young man by promising to recover his brother's memories and perhaps finding out a way to restore their bodies. They leave Alphonse behind with Tucker and arrives at the train station after receiving a lead about a scientist named Dr. Marco, who may know more about the Philosopher's Stone. They head towards the town where the doctor was last seen, and the girl was able to spot a man that resembles who they're looking for, rushing off the train immediately. The two follows the trail to a hospital and enters the building, only to be shot at by the doctor, who thinks that they're from the military. Edward reacts quickly, disabling the gun before anyone got hurt and knocks the man unconscious. After Marco wakes up, Edward demands to know the truth about the Philosopher's Stone, but the doctor refuses to help him, stating that it's for his own good. Suddenly, the man notices something wrong and shoots behind the two, revealing that Lust was spying on them this whole time. The woman continues to walk towards the doctor as he fires again, but her wounds heal very quickly and she pins the man onto the wall. Edward tries to help but gets pushed back as the woman throws him onto the wall along with the girl as well. She then stabs Marco through the heart and vanishes. Edward rushes towards the old man to try and save him, but before the doctor dies, he reveals that the truth about the stone's origins can be found within Laboratory 5. The main character rushes to board the train immediately and gets back to Tucker's house the next day, only to find that everyone is missing inside the building. He eventually finds the alchemist on the 2nd floor, and the man reveals his newest creation, a chimera that's capable of speaking. Edward examines the creature closely as it begins talking and realizes the terrifying truth about its origins. Tucker has created the chimera by using his own daughter and their dog, and it's also revealed that his first chimera that spoke was a result of experimenting on his own wife, who disappeared around the same time. Edward charges towards the man and punches him continuously with anger, but Alphonse appears just in time and was able to stop his brother from killing Tucker. The military led by Colonel Mustang arrives, taking everything in the house for evidence, and apprehends the mad scientist for committing human experimentation. Edward laments in the ring with his brother, feeling extremely powerless. He questions how he can restore their bodies if he can't even save the life of the little girl. He spends the next 3 days inside the library with the help of Captain Hugh and his Lieutenant Ross, trying to figure out the location of Laboratory 5, but they're unable to find any clues nor the existence of Dr. Marco. The general interrupts their research and claims that he knows the location that they're looking for. According to Hakuro, Laboratory 5 is a nickname given to the cannery in the military that's no longer operational. Not asking any further questions, Edward rushes out of the door towards the facility before the captain can stop him. They arrive at the building quickly, but the three are not able to find anything unusual about this location as well. At the same time, Captain Hugh notices a pattern on the map regarding the 4 laboratories preceding Laboratory 5, forming what appears to be a transmutation circle that engulfs the entire city. The captain figures out the location of the final laboratory by completing the geometry and realizes that it's located in the prisoner of war camp. Suddenly, he hears someone behind him and slowly turns around, only to see that Lust has made it inside the military building. He immediately recognizes the tattoo on her chest, indicating that she's a homunculus, meaning that she was artificially created using alchemy. The woman plans to kill the captain for knowing too much, but he's able to survive her attack and escape the room just in time. The captain rushes to call the colonel on the payphone to tell him about the secrets of the military, but feels a presence approaching him from behind and turns around, only to see that Mustang is pointing a gun towards him. The man tries to fight back, but the colonel morphs into his wife, which shocks the captain, and the assassin shoots him immediately. The man turns back into Mustang and walks away as the bystanders run away after witnessing the murder. Luckily, the captain was able to tell the real colonel through the phone about the location of Laboratory 5 before finally passing away. At the same time, Edward leaves the cannery with the group, only to be arrested by the military and held captive inside a room where he finds Lieutenant Hawkeye as well. She tells the alchemist that the military is looking to capture the colonel after witnesses saw him murdering the captain, and they're held captive for being associated with the man. On top of that, the mad scientist Tucker has somehow escaped as well. However, the two are quickly able to escape the facility by tricking the guards into the room and knocking them out. Hawkeye reveals that Mustang has told her about Laboratory 5 and is heading there right now by himself. Edward manages to enter the building with Hawkeye and sees that the colonel is confronted by the military soldiers alongside Lieutenant Ross. Mustang snaps his fingers and sets the lieutenant on fire, while everyone looks in shock at the burning woman. The colonel tells the people to calm down as the burnt body begins moving again, eventually recovering back without any damage. It turns out that Ross was impersonated by Envy, and Lust appears with Gluttony alongside their accomplice. She tells Gluttony to take care of the soldiers, and the big man begins transforming into a gigantic mouth, chasing away the military as they shoot in fear. She then shoots her claws at the colonel and pierces him right through the stomach before leaving the man to die. Edward chases after the woman and eventually enters a room with a giant transmutation circle. He notices Tucker pointing a gun towards him after kidnapping both Alphonse and Winry, threatening to kill them if Edward tries to attack. The man takes out a Philosopher's Stone and tells Edward that the military has been secretly making them using the prisoners in this building. In fact, Dr. Marco and his team have made thousands of stones using human lives, and if Edward wanted to regain the body of his brother, he will need the sacrifice of other humans. Before he can finish talking, Tucker is stabbed through the stomach by Lust from behind, who wants to silence the man before he reveals too many secrets. General Hakurou appears as well and was apparently working with the woman for a long time. However, he decides to betray her plan by attempting to use the stones to create numerous artificial humans in order to make an army to rule this country. He begins injecting all the stones into the lifeless bodies on the ceiling, and the creatures begin coming to life one by one before dropping down onto the floor. Thinking that he's made the ultimate army, the general walks towards the monsters in excitement, but they begin attacking the man altogether and devours him alive. The colonel begins attacking the creatures by engulfing them in flames and notices that you can kill them by destroying their heads. He tells the lieutenant to gather the soldiers and aim for the creatures' heads while he chases after the homunculi. Alphonse begins to recover the ability to move as Edward protects both of them by fighting off the monsters. The younger brother apologizes for being taken hostage as he hides Winry inside his armor, but Edward is glad that nobody was hurt in the process. At the same time, Lieutenant Hawkeye gathers an army of soldiers to kill the monsters that are coming this way. They all begin firing at the creatures and knocking them onto the floor one by one after learning their weakness. Meanwhile, Colonel Mustang catches up with the enemies and sets Envy on fire, but soon falls down as he struggles from the pain of the previous wounds. The woman laughs at the man's suffering as she claims to be immortal and shows him the Philosopher's Stone that's within her, giving her incredible healing abilities. She then attacks the Colonel by using her claws, but Edward intercepts and manages to hide them behind a stone wall he created. The main character realizes that the woman is boasting about her abilities in order to buy time for her comrade, as he noticed that Envy is no longer regenerating like before. Mustang takes the opportunity to set Envy on fire again, and this time the homunculus dies permanently as he gets turned into dust. The woman attacks Edward by pinning him to the floor, but a stone wall rises between them and destroys her claws. It turns out that Alphonse can also use alchemy without a transmutation circle after recovering his memory from the Gate of Truth. Seeing that the enemy is wounded, Mustang begins lighting the homunculus on fire continuously and grabs the Philosopher's Stone from her chest, killing the woman by turning her into dust as well. Gluttony sees that all his comrades are dead and is forced to hide from the soldiers as he mourns. The Colonel gives the Philosopher's Stone to Edward so that he may finally make his brother human. the main character strikes his palms and sees the gate of truth once again. He turns around and sees Alphonse's body, no longer a boy anymore. The deity walks towards Edward and tells him to trade, but the man refuses at the last moment, not willing to use human lives to benefit his personal desires. He promises to come back for his brother as he shouts Alphonse's name. The alchemist returns to his reality and apologizes to his brother, but Alphonse forgives him as he also rejects using the stone given its origins. They all stare into the distance as the sun finally rises once more. Edward looks at his brother as they sit inside the train, promising to find a better way to bring back their bodies as they continue to venture forth into their futures. So what do you guys think about this movie? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like my video, please press like and subscribe for more. I'll see you guys next time.